In this video, I quickly would like to show you how maybe you can use different drawing styles and speeds to illustrate an object. And honestly, the quality of your lines and the accuracy, well, the stuff should not be inferior, but is less really important. What really makes drawings appealing is a certain level of natural touch and then the amount of elements you have on it. So I will actually start in this case here with a gray pen. Let me adjust some of the sizes. Okay, there. So I quickly blocked out some proportions, so it's easier when I draw over it to see actually my lines. So you can, let's say when I start sketching, I put my first ellipse down at the bottom and I try to be very loose, and then maybe draw some lines up. And I know this goes to the vanishing point, so maybe this is actually a little bit more shallow. And then the one in between, for example, should be a little bit bigger, but I know there is actually a small angle on it. So there and there. Let's draw this a little bit bigger. Okay, good. And then maybe we can explore how much this should arc out. So very loosely. Don't try to perfect these things. So from the midpoint here we go up, and in the back we also go up. And there is, for example, this one angle. See, this is now a kind of like an accelerated version of how to draw this stuff, but more eyeballed. And I can put up an ellipse. So I have to pay attention to how much space do I have there. So on this part here, maybe like this, I might need to get it a little bit tighter. And then I can do the same also here. Okay, and there. Okay, so let's hide actually the other stuff. You see some of the proportions I transferred. Unfortunately I made a copy actually of that blue part. Okay, we'll sketch over it. Okay, so this looks kind of crappy, but again, it's not necessarily the quality of the lines. It's about how expressive something can look like. So let's talk a little bit about marker. So you could draw a nice and steady line and fill the page. You can also draw kind of fast, so and slow and fast. Maybe bleed it at the beginning, slow and fast. So you see that actually looks a lot more interesting. And let's say I have perfectly lines next to each other or over each other, and I have some crazy lines. Obviously the right looks a little bit more dynamic. So if I now have to think about marker, I make some big strokes. I know here maybe, whoops, wrong tool. Here maybe I will have some sort of a highlight. There I will have some shadow lines. Okay, so how do I start? First, maybe a little test. Try to draw your objects also to a scale so you can maximize the use of your marker strokes. And I will start just with a very bright marker, and I draw very fast. I don't want to overthink something. And let's go maybe there a little bit, there, maybe something over there. There's a small connection, there's a rounding part. Okay, this line was terrible. There. Okay, maybe a little bit more to contrast it. Okay, Maybe there was too much already, but let's leave it. Right now, this doesn't look very convincing because again, it doesn't have enough detail on it. So now we can use a nice pen with a good thickness. And then we start maybe adding very quickly some lines over it. And you try to shoot for nice, quick gestures. So don't overthink what you do too much. Simply try to force yourself to draw it fast. You will make mistakes. That's okay. But the more you do it, the more you can prevent mistakes. And certain drawing mistakes actually can look really interesting. And also try to apply some logical drawing techniques. So lines in the back I do with a little bit of an arc, and then I put a lot of focus on edges actually you can see. So there. Already looks a lot more interesting. Maybe with a thinner pen, now we can put down some mesh lines there. Let's guess actually this direction a little bit. This angle was probably wrong. There is probably something there, and there is also a small line there. Maybe here we can put a mesh line there. Okay. So this was done more or less with a marker and then a black fine liner. And I feel this type of illustration really starts to look nice when we combine different medias. So now I will actually use a white charcoal pen. Let me go to black so you can see my program better. The texture you want to have if you do it digital, you want to have some sort of a texture so it doesn't look too smooth. And if you do it in real life, you will have that texture because of the natural pen anyway. And then we can, with some nice fast strokes, put something down, some highlights here in the back. There is also a little bit of a reflection at the bottom there. There, maybe there. There's something that goes over. Okay. So let's see what else we could do. Let's see, maybe a little bit of a hatching somewhere. So that's too thin, a little bit thicker. That's maybe a tick too strong. Yeah, maybe like this. So I will try to see where could I put it maybe down. So maybe there, and then there, and there. And then pick a good angle and start very quickly hatching it again. Don't make it perfect. You want natural imperfections in it. Okay, there. See, that already starts to look quite nice. Maybe we suggest that there is a highlight something here by simply drawing this line over there and there and there. Maybe to the bottom I space it out. Ta-da. Okay. I need a little bit more contour stuff, so this has to pop more. This is not meant to be a nice, precise looking drawing. This is more meant to be a drawing that communicates a certain fluid feel and natural touch. So with what I add here, I can simply draw the viewer's attention more to that profile and the contour line, like positive, negative effect, you know. Okay, well, maybe some marker. So I will put that actually onto a different layer. In real life, either draw carefully next to it, or we we simply draw it on a different piece of paper and then scan it in. I want more flow. Yeah, okay, there. Or maybe it has to be darker. Okay, good. So there, and then just put something down. You see, I go kind of crazy over it. And try to enhance it a little bit, and then I have to clean this up. That was one too deep. No. So you should not be afraid of sketching. Try to really enjoy it. I find sometimes these really quick doodles very, very pleasurable. And it's always nice as a warm-up exercise or ideation tool. There, look at that. Doesn't look too bad. So marker, ink, pastel pen or charcoal pen, and then some marker, a little bit of maybe an adjustment we need. There we need some more stronger contours, maybe there. There. Okay, no, this is a tick better, and maybe here, I don't know if this is a shadow line, maybe bring this up a little bit more, tick stronger contrast. Don't overwork it, because I start now run into the danger that this gets too messy, and then actually you will lose the visual appeal of it. Okay, so that was kind of like one way. So in whatever program you work, when you want to use the airbrush, or also in real life when you work with pastel, we can borrow a little bit painting techniques from, yeah, well, actually classical painting. So we do an underlay and then we build on top of it, instead of doing kind of like a cartoonish drawing next to each other. So I will have to configure my airbrush. So there's my airbrush. This is maybe not dark enough. Yeah, okay, maybe this has to be a tick bigger. Yeah, okay, not too bad. So let's quickly try to see what we can do. So easiest way is we put some shading, basic gradation down, and then we decide maybe where do we want to have more reflection. Maybe there at the end. There a little bit more. There you can see I work with the paper that's left alone. Okay, maybe then I fill also the top area so it's uniform. Go with an angle, go up. Same here a little bit. Okay, let's zoom out to see if there are any issues. Maybe rotate it a little bit. I feel there can be a little bit more. Okay, so that's okay. Then instead of using a gel pen, I will work mainly with a pencil, because it has this really nice texture to it. So I will try to find a good color and size. And let's see when we put some lines down. Okay, there will be a line. Okay, and now the ellipse. So nice smooth finger arcs, or finger arcs, hand motion. So there when we see it, there, maybe there. Okay, a little bit here. So then maybe at the bottom. Okay, good. And Let's put the sight lines down there. So if you trace something, try not to draw it, how could I say that, single line next to a single line. Overlay the lines. So you get a variation in line quality, you get a variation in line thickness. So you see now here I started working actually in addition on these parts, because that's the bottom. The first lines were kind of blocking out the proportion, and now with more lines I refine it, get details in, draw the viewer's eye to it. So with a little bit pressure now, I add more contour. That goes down, and this goes over. There, fade the line out, and this comes up, goes over, and maybe a little bit this way there. Okay, let's say here we have actually a sharp edge, so there is a mesh line here, so maybe a little bit of shattering on this part, and then we fade it out. Okay, so let's say there is the mesh line, there's the next one, there's that one, and then this maybe goes to there. Is that the correct angle? Let's see. This feels better. And then here, the line, this is actually a little bit to the front. See, I memorized that step. That's one of the main reasons why it's very good to take something and rebuild it. You start making a lot of good observations and then start applying that to your drawing. Actually, in this case, I really don't mind the blue line below. That kind of like looks like, how could I say that? An ink pen or ball tip pen. So let me see if I will go actually with the pen, and I will keep that color, maybe adjust the size a little bit and make that less strong, so it feels like my colored pencil, etc., goes actually over like a ball tip pen drawing. Okay, good. So let's see now. This looks kind of bland. Now we have some mesh lines or so, and not really very interesting. I will decrease the size a little bit so I can be more crisper, and then continue really blocking stuff out with a lot more pressure. The pen before was maybe a little bit too big. There. And again, try to be nice and fast. Don't try to perfect it. And I will try, in this case, only to do this extra work mainly only on the left side, which would be more the shadow part. So maybe I have to press even more to get richer edges. Nicely digitally, that stuff doesn't smear, so you can go over it without fear of messing it up. Okay, so maybe here a little edge. I didn't hit the ellipses right, but okay. Goodie. So you see, already gets a tick more interesting, but something is missing. So let's actually add a layer. I will put that layer actually below. And I will, let's see, maybe this way, and then this way, and this way, and there. Yeah. So if we draw something really big and then later we use a digital eraser, or we just scan in and cut the rest away, we can do a hatching technique simply like this. So we, instead of drawing line by line, we can also simply do it this way. Then we're in constant motion. You have to be careful with the way how you move your arm, so you get a nice even spacing. You see here in my case, I jumped in few instances that actually made it look not so good, and you can go back, fix this, maybe some more lines there, but don't put too much pressure in, because otherwise you get kind of like an uneven structure in it. Okay, so then either we use a ruler and an eraser, if in case this is graphite or something, we can just then, for example, clean it up. Also there, maybe, and here in the front, and then also over the object. And I use the thick contour lines simply to hide the ends of those hatching lines. There. Okay, so either we leave it that way, or maybe now we could use a ruler. Let's try to make this actually really straight. Okay, there. Zip. And zip. Zip. Okay, good. And then pencil here nicely blocking the frame. We can do it single line, so it's nice and clean, but we could also add some extra lines so it doesn't look so precise. Don't make it too crazy, maybe 1 or 2 lines there, maybe some extra lines here to give it some structure. Okay, perfect. So we started to draw a little bit of focus on the upper right corner of that part, but I'm not necessarily very happy with the way how currently it looks. So let's say, or see, we add a little bit more airbrushing, maybe down there, because it's too flat. Yeah, I need that actually. Okay. Oh, that's actually a little bit better. So then we could still actually come in with a gel pen or something and add maybe extra details. So here this is covering actually really a lot. This is maybe too strong. So let's go back maybe to a pencil. But let's add actually the white. Let's see. Yeah, this actually will work nicely. So let's say this is a separation line where 2 materials meet. So I will put a nice highlight, and then here maybe a highlight. There will be maybe, let's say, there, small highlight. On top there will be a big highlight. Let's say this part is rounded, so I will start to work with a bigger pencil and maybe draw a nice highlight over this edge, giving you a suggestion that this corner is not sharp but rounded. If I want, I can also pair some white next to the black line. Maybe do the same there. maybe at the bottom. Yeah, see, it's just the more stuff we add, and the more interesting it can get. So let's say, well, what happens if we add maybe some sort of hatching here, frame it a little bit there. There, okay. Let's set this one to that one. So maybe here I would like, let's say this is reflective, so I put a gradient on it. Does it work? Maybe too much pressure. Let's try this one more time. And then with less pressure, I coat less. Maybe that can give you the look that it is kind of like a glossy surface. So if I go in retrospect, I feel a lot of these white lines, they are unfortunately too thick. So let's actually undo them. Lots of undo clicking. But with the same brush, that effect actually I didn't mind. I will go ahead and bring this back there. Let's fade it out a little bit. I will add a little bit of a darkness to there. Okay, and then if I go back to the white, set this to a smaller pen. Okay, and then put some of these lines down. Yeah, see, size actually here works better in this case. So what's happening with the back? Do we want to do something? Again, be careful to not to overwork stuff. Pick a direction and then stick to it. I don't know if that's necessarily really needed, so I will undo them and keep him on the front part. But what we can do is maybe with the airbrush and white, whoa, this is black, we can, or pastel, maybe work on the highlights a little bit. So there we make this a tick wider and maybe a little bit more there. You might not necessarily see it, but I was drawing vertically around it down, and then now I'm currently drawing on the bottom there. Maybe the bottom was too much, but I didn't mind that on the side there. Okay, good. I don't necessarily clean everything up, so here you have to see if it works. So I will just clean this upper area. Hold on, I will do this actually in one stroke, then I can easily undo and redo and show you the before and after effect there. So cleaned up and before. I think actually, nah, that looks a tick better. Okay. We could also throw in a drop shadow. So this is our object. Say a drop shadow maybe there. Let's do this very light. Okay, and then with more pressure. Let's take a look. For example, quick one. Okay, let's delete this. Let's move this one over. And let's bring this one back onto a white ground. Oh, I must have actually merged the stuff by accident. Added all well, that wasn't smart of me. I added all the eraser marks for the marker. So I could actually, I would have to undo all them. Oh, shoot. But hopefully, if you go back in the video, you can see the way how it looked. So 2 different ways. If you work with pastel, a little bit cleaner, and then on in the first example, very fast, very quick, more suggestive. But even here, you see this whole drawing is still lacking a little bit of contrast. So with more pencil pressure, I can bring this stuff back in. Just make it pop a tick more. Maybe the shadow gets a strong outline as well. This really bugs me there. And here a little bit stronger. Yeah, so that actually, the lines are got a little bit messy. I did it too quick, but you can see now you pay more attention to the right side. If I undo it, here you can see it's kind of bland. You really need more definition along actually these edges here. It's maybe just one clean steady stroke. Let's see how that one actually will work out. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. That's really all you need. That really separates the part nicely from the canvas. So these techniques I showed you, basically you can apply for manual hand drawing or computer based. Maybe with a liquid pen we could add somewhere maybe some glaring dots if we want, where it fits. Maybe let's see if the highlights we want to do a tick stronger. That destroys it, so let's keep it at that. Okay, so I would simply suggest take an object, maybe one shape, photocopy it or scan it in, multiply and print it out, and then really very quickly try to just apply those drawing techniques to your object, so you get a feel for that. A certain speed, still under control, really will result into a certain illustrative look that's actually quite interesting. Something I forgot to mention is, in my opinion, the beauty is really a mix of hand drawn, because it's more natural and has imperfections, and then we can use guide tools and then in the post-process part actually clean it up. So I can go ahead now and, for example, select my ellipse template, try to position it correctly, try to match kind of like the geometry I should have, and I have to see if maybe my my hand sketch is close enough in this area or case. It seems to be actually the case, so that's good. And then even here, maybe with this white line, I do a little trick and add this over it. Why isn't this drawing as much as I want? So there. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm actually drawing below an object. So let's see what's above here, there. Okay, so I have to go into this layer. Good. So, whoops, don't want to move this. Nice white color. And just enhance that ellipse a little bit. Okay, perfect. So up there, for example, let's see what I can do there to fix this and enhance it. So and add my ellipse next to it and try to get kind of like a parallel line. There. I was a little bit too much on it, so I moved this one up, switch back to black, put a black line next to it. There. See, then this way we can clean things up quite easily. Maybe a guide, kind of like a black one down there. So up there we have an ellipse. So maybe we want to make a nice transition into it. Let's see what I can do. So maybe like this, yeah. Doesn't match 100%, but okay, I could continue. It's still important when you try to draw, even when you draw fast, accurate. These two lines are kind of like a killer because they're totally wrong. They're not really going along that direction. So let's see if I can rescue that situation. It's actually not too bad this happened because this brings in one advice I could give. So if something is wrong and correcting it, so you can see the correct shape draws too much attention to it, and just simply leave it, because if you have a mistake in general it's better not to super correct it, because you simply will draw attention to the problem, and that's not really what you want. So here maybe let's see if we can use the ellipse template as a French curve and add some clean lines to it. There. That looks pretty good. So there, another one. This time actually I would like it to be smaller and then blend into this part. Okay, a little bit bigger, maybe flatter. Comes from there. Okay. And let's see, there we will probably need a small arc, more like this. And let's see if that can do it. Oh, I can't really see the ellipse template. It's kind of grayish, so this probably will be more like this and there. Okay. There, so you see I use different ellipses to kind of clean up that edge to make it geometrically more correct, and then the rest we'll leave hand drawn, so you don't want to overcorrect it, just only what's really important, so you have a nice mix of natural imperfection and then also cleaned up geometry.